And I do think that if you look at it, there's a realistic possibility that Carson Wentz is playing the last 2 weeks of the season against the Broncos and the Steelers. Like, I think that those two are very real possibilities.
I knew they played the Steelers. I was looking at the schedule, so I couldn't remember if it was the second to last week or the last week, because the only two teams that have 2 losses right now that they don't have a 3-game lead on are Buffalo and Pittsburgh, who are both on their schedule.
Correct.
So they have to beat Buffalo, obviously, and then the Steelers have to lose. And the Steelers were all in.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
What up, Chiefs fans? Welcome to a special episode of 21 Questions. I'm BJ Kissel, hanging out with Lexi Osborne of Kingdom Queens and our fearless producer, Tucker Franklin. Excited to get to these questions, many of which were sent through our Discord server for all of our paid subscribers to the KCSN newsletter. We appreciate you. If you want more information, you can go to kcsn.substack.com to find that info. But Lexi, we're doing this one in person. How goes it right now? How is life as a Chiefs fan for the only undefeated team?
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. Life as a Chiefs fan is great right now. I have zero complaints whatsoever. So
yeah, it's pretty nice.
I don't think it gets much better than this. So I'm doing good.
And Tucker, the most positive person always. Okay.
Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that about myself.
So you're rocking a Creed shirt. You were at the concert. You've been at 2 big-time concerts. Why don't we give you the floor to talk about a couple that's the concerts that you've been.
That's a good
first question.
That's a good point, because the 2 concerts I've been to could not have been more different from each other. The Taylor Swift concert on, what was that, Friday in Indianapolis. That one was really cool. That was probably the best concert I've ever been to. But the Creed concert was very different vibe, different demographic of people, but also insanely cool. I said that was the second best concert I've ever been to. The Taylor Swift was obviously number 1. She goes for like 3.5 hours and doesn't stop. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling bummed out now because my wife and daughter went. I put it out on social. That was their big thing because my son and I are now started this tradition last year of going to a different road game. Wife got upset, being like, well, what about like McKenna and I? And it was like, well, find something. Like, McKenna doesn't care to go to like a football game. It's not going to drag her and go do that. If she's not into it like that. So find something you're into. And then like 3 months later, she's a full blown Swiftie.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea we lucked into some tickets or an opportunity for some tickets. They decided to go. And my initial thought was like, that's awesome. You guys are going to enjoy this. And I don't have to worry about you being upset about my son and I going for about a decade in these games because of what it costs to go to our concerts. But the way they talk about it, the way Tucker, you talked about it, the way that you talked about how Tara talked about it.
Oh my God.
Feels like I missed out on one of those core memories, but my son and I are leaving for Buffalo next week and pretty fired up about it. So
it's one of those things too. During the Creed concert, Tara kept saying like, why is he talking so much? I was like, well, he has to catch his breath. Like, he's old. He's got to catch his breath. Like, he's not like Taylor Swift. There's like minimal transitions in that whole thing. Like, she goes from song to song, 45 different songs, 3.5 hours. She goes. Scott Stapp had to stop like every song to be like, thank you for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. Like, that's why. But it was 2 very different vibes, but 2 very good concerts. Yeah.
Taylor Swift is very good. I saw her a few years ago when she was at Arrowhead.
Oh, yeah.
But I haven't seen her. I didn't go to the Eras tour, but she is quite a performer. Just leaves you wanting more when you go. Somehow, after 3.5 hours or whatever.
To a last most of the concerts I go to now are country concerts. Just
country's always a good time.
Yeah. I'm not going to, like, I went through all of college listening to country music. Like, live, it's better. I mean,
for sure.
I've never been to Taylor Swift, so don't attack me out there. Swifties are listening, but I haven't found a lot of non-country concerts I thought were really, really good in person. Besides one 311 concert I saw in Vegas, but we're not going to go there because that was awesome. They probably could have been anybody up there, and I would have had a great time. But yeah, let's get into these questions. And before we get started talking with the questions from the Discord, I do want to thank and just promote Braden's Hope as a sponsor. And we use the opportunity on this show to promote the work that they're doing for raising money for child pediatric cancer research and trying to solve a problem that a lot of people don't know about. With less than 5% of the funding that goes to cancer research in general is dedicated to pediatric cancer research. And they are kind of leading that charge nationally here in Kansas City, and they do some amazing work. So if you're blessed to be in a position to support different organizations or want to find information on different organizations, I can't think of a better place to go and kind of dive in and see the work that they do than Braden's Hope. Stories will tug at your heartstrings in a way that will cause you to act and want to support everything you got to them. So, don't want to not mention that. But Tucker, let's get into these questions.
Yeah, this first one is from Isaac Hugh. Isaac is a day one guy, I'm pretty sure.
Isaac sports a lot. We love Isaac.
Yes, thank you, Isaac. Which of the currently injured players will have the most impact when they return this year? There's a lot of currently injured players right now.
I almost want to. Oh man,
there's a lot of ways you can answer the question. There's a lot of ways you can answer the question too.
Right?
I'm between two of them. I want to say Charles Omenihu, because he's going to open up that D line a ton, especially with the addition of Uche, which I was told is how you pronounce his name, Uche.
No.
Not Uche, Uche. I think that'll be a big one for us.
I was so excited when they signed him, and thought that this was really going to be the year that going into this year that he can get that even bigger deal that he's been looking for. And I hope he comes back and makes that impact. And I do think you're right. He's going to make a handful of plays. We talk about with all those guys. It's not about everybody being the best. I mean, we have Chris Jones. He's going to step up when he needs to, but everybody else's name is going to be called at some point. There's going to be a game that Omenihu makes a couple of plays late in the game. Like that's the reason that they won. And you always single out those players. Tucker, I am curious what yours is, because we've been talking about the fact that Kareem Hunt has been run into the ground in a way.
That's my other
throughout his career. Is that when Pacheco comes back, it is going to be at the perfect time, because I don't think Kareem Hunt can do this for 3 more games before Pacheco gets here. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it seems perfect that Clyde could get the Buffalo game in 2 weeks, because we've seen Clyde go off against Buffalo at Buffalo in a very similar situation a few years ago, went for over 100 yards on the ground. That was his big game. And so something like that, or Carson Steele, they're going to have to bridge that gap, because I looked it up. Kareem Hunt had never carried the ball 20 times or more 4 games in a row in his career. The only other time that he had done it in back-to-back games was as a rookie in 2017. That was the last time he had back-to-back games at least 20 carries. He's had 4 straight games. At the end of that game on Monday, he looked exhausted. He looked like an older running back.
Patrick said he wants the ball though, and I think he's really trying to show that we're not going to regret bringing him back, right? So I think that's what he's really trying to do, and he's showing it.
It's beautifully poetic in a way. So I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to pretend to not be shocked when he came back.
Right.
I was there. I know when he lied, you can't lie and not tell the whole truth to that organization. But I'm also, man, I have to admit, when I saw the police video of him getting pulled over, he basically said, I fucked up everything. It was such a, all right, that's real. It hit him. It wasn't being recorded. It wasn't some line for the media. It was a genuine remorse. And for him to get this opportunity, he's going to ask for the ball. He's going to give everything he has, because he knows I screwed up the opportunity I had to be on the last 3 Super Bowl wins for this team. And he absolutely could have been. And now they're going to run him in. And I'm pretty sure they were honest with him about it. Hey, you want the ball? We're going to give you the ball, more so than we've seen Andy Reid throughout his career lean on the running game like they are right now. So bridging that. But my answer is actually going to be different, because I haven't got to my answer. I'm going to say Hollywood Brown, because not because of the biggest impact, but the most excitement, the jolt of adrenaline that Chiefs fans are going to get going into the playoffs when you get that dude back, and what we're going to see from hopefully a staying healthy DeAndre Hopkins over the next several weeks. There's going to be so much buzz about a Chiefs offense that found a piece that Patrick Mahomes has never had, that it might not make the biggest impact in getting us to the playoffs, obviously, because he's not going to be there. But there's not going to be a bigger moment for Chiefs fans than when you see Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, and Hollywood Brown on the field at the same time.
That's going to be huge. I can't wait for that moment.
I thought about saying a real Matty answer and saying Patrick Mahomes, because he's currently on the injury report, so he would be the biggest one. But Hollywood Brown was one of the first ones that came to my head. Juju Smith-Schuster also another one, because he's currently injured, and he's actually not playing, not Patrick Mahomes' way. But I do think that those receivers, they have so many different receivers and so many different types that they now can use with everybody's healthy. It makes it really interesting. But Mike Dana is actually going to be my answer. I think Mike Dana is actually going to be a really important one because you can never have too many pass rushers, obviously. And when it comes down to it with like Uche and Dana, and then I almost said Jones. Yeah, Jones. Karlaftis. I was thinking of Frank Clark in my head.
We got a new 5'5" now.
He looked the baggy sleeves with the 5'5". Like it is.
I'm not gonna lie. Part of me was bummed when I saw that because I'm like, that definitely means Frank's not coming back.
He aesthetically looks like Frank. Like the speed around the edge. Like he aesthetically looks like Frank Clark, and it is kind of.
Hopefully, he can get it done in the playoffs because let's not forget Frank Clark's third all time in NFL history in postseason sacks.
Legitimately crazy, but look, I get it. Yeah, it's nuts.
All right, what we got next?
Next question here.
We're not going to get to 21, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I believe that is Hokey Chief. That is, should the show name be changed to 21 questions? Yeah. If you want to have a show that is 3.5 hours long, we could do 21 questions.
Or rapid answers.
Right.
Fun.
Yeah. That won't be fun for anybody. Okay. Here we go. Here is from Kyle C, another OG in the chat here. Would you rather the Chiefs continue to fight for 17-0 and have a 20% chance to make the Super Bowl, or lose at least one game and have a 50% chance to make the Super Bowl?
Definitely got to go with losing a game. I don't really care about going undefeated, to be honest. Yeah. I think what's important, honestly, and losses you almost need them, because it's like the Patriots when they went undefeated and then they blew it in the AFC Championship game. I don't want that to happen to us. So honestly, I wouldn't mind a loss. And honestly, if it comes to Buffalo or someone like that, we lose to them in the regular season all the time, and then we beat them in the playoffs when it matters. So if that happens, I'm not going to stress and think, oh no, our season's like, a loss isn't going to mean much to me. So
yeah, I'd say the same thing. I don't care if they lose. They're trying to go for a three-peat. If they could also be undefeated, that's great, but cool. If they're undefeated at that point, they're going to clinch, and Mahomes isn't playing that last game to try and stay undefeated anyway, or even the last two games. And if they do, they're going to be super vanilla with it, which is what I would like them to do. That's where, we were talking about this when I was recording for the One on One, the Fox pregame show with Kendall Gammon, Sparks, and Arleah Campbell, is that we know that Andy Reid, whether he admits it completely or not, that he's going to hold back in the regular season against the Bills. Not saying he's not trying to win that game, but he's not going to show the iteration of a screen pass that he's never shown publicly before in a regular season game like that, when he may want to use it in the playoffs against that team. So yes, he's calling plays to win, but there are some nuances of things that in plays and looks of plays that you only know if you're on the field studying it or you really pay attention. And I don't know any analysts in the cover of the Chiefs that pay attention at that level to be able to say they've never run the iteration of that play. And one of the examples, the last game in the overtime against the Bucs, the play where Noah Gray and Travis Kelce are lined up in 3-point stances in the backfield, and they kind of flood the zone, and Kelce travels behind Gray, or vice versa. They run those little corner routes. That's one of those, pull it out of your bag. It's overtime. You're trying to get this win. Throw that play out there. He went into his bag at that point. I don't want him to do that against Buffalo Bills. So I would rather they're calling the Denver game a trap game. If I'm a Chiefs player, make sure you focus on Denver, so if you lose at Buffalo, it doesn't really hurt. Exactly. Yeah. Get a trap game against Denver, you lose, and all of a sudden you're risking losing another game where, again, you're going to save some stuff for the playoffs. Don't unload it from a scheme, from Spags' standpoint. That's where you have tendency breakers. If Spags is never going to do something in a certain situation when it matters, you're absolutely going to do that in the regular season, because then they have to prepare for something that you're really not planning on doing and having those tendency breaker type plays.
I used to say this all the time, that Andy Reid saves stuff, and people wanted to say I was crazy for saying that, like a conspiracy, right? But I was like, no, he saves stuff for the playoffs. That was years ago that I would say that, and I think everyone sees that now. Obviously.
It's hard to quantify, and he's never going to admit it from a play calling.
No,
he said to tell you,
never.
Ask his strategy in play calling. Yeah. Not answer a question. I wouldn't want to answer that question.
No.
Why give the other team information?
I can't wait to watch 40-eye formation runs from the Chiefs against the Broncos. This next question is from Tag the Tiger, also kind of Super Bowl adjacent. He says, Tag the Tiger says, when we make it to the Super Bowl this year, what NFC team would you least like to see as our opponent?
It's got to be the Lions. That's for me, at least. I think the way we would match up would be a lot of fun, because I think both offensive play callers are freaking geniuses, and I think it would be a really, really fun Super Bowl. I think Spag's defense has the edge on theirs. I think our defense is better, but they have a really high-powered offense. So I think that's probably the one I'd like to see the least.
Yeah, I'd say them or like Washington, just because you have a mobile quarterback. I think the only way the Chiefs would struggle any kind of playoffs as far as winning it is going up against a team that's going to take advantage of where the Chiefs have lacked, and that's mobile quarterbacks isolating the second level of our defense and creating space for chunk plays to get out there and affect them. I'm really surprised Baltimore didn't do it more when we played them in the playoffs. Never going to understand that for the life of me, but Detroit's probably a 1, and then to me, Washington's a 1A just because Jaden Daniels can beat you in a lot of different ways. I know he's a young quarterback, but guys can get out and run and put stress on Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill to have to cover sideline to sideline. That's where the Chiefs get in trouble. We saw it against the Bucs.
Yeah.
Seen it so far this year. Not trying to trigger any Chiefs fans, but that is where our defense has been susceptible to big plays, is isolating and getting Nick Bolton in positions where he has to cover everything. Doesn't mean he's not good, just means that that's one area that he lacks, and then one area that an offense can look at our defense, say, where can we find the most success? That's one of those areas, which is why we see chunk plays in those situations.
I think the reason the Lions scare me a little bit more than the Commanders would be because the experience. Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl. Jaden Daniels is quite young, so I think that's why I have the Lions ahead of them right now.
The Packers are an interesting one, I think.
Yeah.
I think the Packers are an interesting one, but I do think it is the Lions. The Lions keep sure. The Lions, the way that the Lions at the deadline kind of overcorrected at pass rusher when like Aiden Hutchinson went down, and they said, all right, this is our window, so we got to go get it. Like, that makes me think that, like, they're all in for this year.
They're all in.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Jay Daniels, they're just young enough, not quite understand how special
for sure.
what this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Lions match up well with anyone. At that point, the Chiefs get through the AFC side of things and get through Baltimore, Buffalo, whoever it's going to be this year. Ultimately, it's going to end up being Baltimore, whether it's either way. It looks like it's going to be at home. I don't care what the record is. They're going to turn it on, and it's going to be the game that everybody's talking about.
Lindsay Liu asks, how many turnovers will the Chiefs get against the Broncos on Sunday?
Ooh, how many turnovers?
It's not a team that has traditionally forced a ton of turnovers, a defense that hasn't forced a ton of turnovers. So
he's going to get the ball out quick. They're going to see what Baker did, and they're not going to let Bo Nix hold on to the ball and let Spags dial up all the blitzes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to say none. I don't think he's going to throw any exceptions because I don't think they're going to put him in a position where he's going to do anything stupid.
I could see us getting, I think, one, and that's just taking advantage of a rookie quarterback. He caused him to fumble or something. He is very mobile, but you could kind of get him on the run or something. So I'd say one, hopefully two.
I want to see a fumble. I want to see a strip sack. Right. That's what I want to see. I really do think that Steve Spagnuolo is just going to have Bo Nix in a blender. Like, a stat that actually Benny Heisler sent it my way when we were talking about it, Benny's picks on that football show. Rookie quarterbacks are 1-11 against Steve Spagnuolo since 2019.
There you go.
That's a great stat.
That's a great stat.
It's even worse. You know what the one is?
Hold on.
If you haven't listened to that football show, if you've listened to that football show, you know what the one is, because Matt Verder and I spent several minutes talking about this football game.
You're calling me out?
No, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying that for the people.
Young quarterback or rookie quarterback?
Rookie quarterback. Since 2019.
Just tell me.
It is the Aiden O'Connell led not Steelers, Raiders.
Our guy.
When they beat him on Christmas Day. That is the one loss
I wasn't thinking about it.
that Steve Spagnuolo has against a rookie quarterback. And in that game, if you remember, Aiden O'Connell did not complete a pass in 3 quarters. So
just our worst offensive performance of all time.
9 of 21, I believe, is what Aiden O'Connell was. 62 passing yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, and that is the one game.
Spags definitely lost that game. That was definitely on him.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Patrick Mahomes didn't throw a pick 6 or have a strip 6 or anything like that. None of that happened. But yes. It's a really interesting stat. Spags is gonna have him in a blender. I'm excited for it. Okay, looking at the Discord here. Neil said, are you eyeing any Black Friday deals? And if so, what are they, or what is it / are they?
Man, not really. I used to be so into Black Friday, like probably at least 5 years ago. But the past few years, I feel like the internet's just kind of ruined Black Friday for me.
Yeah.
There's not a lot
It's fair.
I have my eyes on right now. It's a boring answer, and I apologize.
Yeah, before I had kids, it was like, oh, it's the biggest, baddest TV that I can get on
Yeah.
sale. And I don't need that anymore. I'm not doing that. Plus, my wife and daughter went to Taylor Swift. We're saving on the deals. Like, we're saving some money as best we can right now. But yeah, I just get on Amazon if I want something. I have to wait till Black Friday to go buy.
I'll do Cyber Monday.
Yeah. Taylor Swift does have a tabletop coffee book that is coming out for this Eras tour. I've already been told that we are going to get it on Black Friday.
There you go.
And she also has a new vinyl coming out on Black Friday as well. Only at Target.
Okay.
She only at Target.
Really?
Yeah.
RJ.
Oh yeah. Her and Target like that.
Mhm.
Okay. It's unaware.
Then on Black Friday I'll be at the game. So like
Yeah.
we're going Black Friday shopping
That's right.
right to the game.
I'll be producing the post-game show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll be in California visiting my sister and my new her new baby. So,
There you go. Shake some Chicken Chiefs onesie out there.
yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a good call. Let's see here. There are some non Chiefs questions I'll throw in here before we get to a break. Lindsay Lou asks, is putting up Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving okay? Because I feel bad for the turkey day being missed.
Oh, I'm fully on board for it.
Oh.
I'm a Christmas lover. I love it. I say decorate as much as you want. Go for it.
So you gotta wait till after Thanksgiving. But I'm also the guy that leaves up my Christmas decorations till like after my birthday, like end of January.
You know what I've done the past 2 years is I've left up just a Christmas tree up for the Super Bowl.
Just my wife.
I'm gonna have to do it again if we're gonna try to three.
Right, yeah.
I have this thing like I want to be the house that has like 50 inflatables out front. My wife thinks it looks like our house right now looks tacky. I'm like, yeah, because you only let me get one a year.
Yeah.
And my son, now I turned it into like a thing that it's like a tradition with the kids. We go and we buy the new inflatable that year. I turned it into tradition so we could do it.
There you go.
But now we only have like 6 or 7. And so it's not enough to be funny, but it's too many to be like small. It's like we need to just buck up one year and buy 7 or 8 and then really let people know like we understand this is ridiculous. That's part of the charm of it. But I would say till after Thanksgiving, but
No, I support you, Lindsay.
I go Black Friday. Usually we do it on that Friday after Thanksgiving. It's usually when we set up our Christmas tree. I have a buddy's wife who set up her Christmas tree this year on Halloween.
that's weird.
Yeah, no.
That's early. That's early.
I'd say it's like mid-November for me. I don't have anything up yet.
We got Friendsgiving to host, so we have to be in the
There you
festive spirit for us. There was one more.
Thanksgiving is always my favorite holiday.
I love Thanksgiving.
Growing
I
up,
cook, so that's like I thrive on Thanksgiving.
see, I had an older sister. We would always go up to Des Moines, where my mom's from, for Thanksgiving. We get there, and my cousins were always older, so they'd be hanging out with my sister. Also, I was a young kid that nobody wanted to hang out with. Well, I went into the den at my grandma's house, had a little TV, and it was like my little TV tray. So I would just get loaded up on food, and I would go sit there, and everybody would leave me alone, thinking like, oh, that's sad. I get to sit and watch football for 9 hours straight. Nobody bothered me, except when one of my cousins or uncles would come in and like escape everything else that was going on in the house. They'd come and be like, oh, this is where you're there.
This is where it's at.
I was like, I've been in here for 10 years on Thanksgiving, just listening to John Madden talk about the turkey.
Oh, so good.
Like, that's all I did Thanksgiving. And so now with my wife, it's like, I'm going to take all this food. I'm going to go in the basement. I'm going to sit there and watch football. And she's like, no, you're helping with the
You can't
kids.
do that. Yeah.
Son's almost old enough to have the attention span to sit and watch.
Yeah.
Full game. Not quite there yet.
I gotta choose one before the break. Can't get this one in. Can't KCSN. I don't know if you guys heard of that guy.
Hollywood.
Yeah. What week do the Chiefs wrap up the 1 seed is what he wants to know.
Whoa. I'm gonna say
So there's a running joke that we have on the lab with Matt Hamilton as well, as because one of the first episodes that Matt Hamilton did. Kent was talking about how the Chiefs could he's like, well, the Chiefs have an opportunity to sit out the whole season, like the whole last December. Like December, they could, if they could really lock it up if they win the first 2 games. And that's kind of been a running joke with us, is that like, oh, wait, when are they gonna be able to sit Patrick Mahomes for the remaining of the remainder of the season? And I do think that if you look at it, there's a realistic possibility that Carson Wentz is playing the last 2 weeks of the season against the Broncos and the Steelers. Like, I think that those two are very real possibilities.
I knew they played I was looking at the schedule, so I couldn't remember if it was the second to last week or the last week, because the only two teams that have 2 losses right now that they don't have a 3-game lead on are Buffalo and Pittsburgh, who are both on their schedule.
Correct.
So they have to beat Buffalo, obviously, and then the Steelers have to lose. And the Steelers were all in. I mean, they were active, so like they're trying to get some stuff done. Yeah, I'm giving George Pickens some help with Mike Williams, the other moves that they made.
Then they brought someone else in too.
I can't think of who it is.
Either.
Transactions.
Gosh, I want to say.
Preston Smith. That's who it was.
Yeah, I was like,
What do you think after beating the Texans? So week 16.
I do think that they can have it wrapped up by 16. And it's like a realistic possibility too.
Yeah.
Like a very realistic possibility. I think that even if they lose to the Bills, they could still have it wrapped up by 16.
So come to our tailgate. We'll have a holiday distillery tailgate Saturday against the Texans.
There you go.
It's the last home game for the Chiefs, so that would be a beautiful time to do it because they're on the road at Pittsburgh and Denver for the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So the last game they played here, like
Get it
they
done,
clinch it.
Chiefs.
But
Get it done.
coming out in Lot J with us, not at the big Lot J, we're like the little suburb of the mini Lot J party. Drink some bourbon.
That'd be a long time.
We'll
So
be
like,
out there for that game.
if they do clinch it up there and that's the final game, what is that? The 21st
16.
of November?
That's
Or December? Sorry. And then their first playoff game would be. You're like looking at a month in between games.
Month.
Yeah,
Not that I like that though.
it's probably good for the field considering they're playing college games there too.
Well,
I would like to find out how a team plays after not playing.
that's what I'm thinking.
Because coach is like, I don't like that idea. You know what I really don't like is watching a game that Patrick Mahomes is playing that means nothing. Every time he gets tackled, it's like, get up. Get up. Not do that crap that he did against Monday night where it's like,
he said like he
Paul Pierce.
showed his face. He said it's effed is what he said. He said I read his lips. He said it's effed, and I was like,
I literally thought he popped his Achilles.
so did I, because
I was
like
like,
he
oh,
dead legged
no.
it. Like I can't put any weight on this as he was going to the ground, and it was terrifying. You watching it on TV. I was talking about this earlier when we were recording with Kendall and them because they were at the game, and Marlia was in the press box talking about like they could see him. I'm like, yeah, you know what we saw on TV? We saw him go dead leg. Oh my God, the season's over. And then by the time they come back, he's jogging on the sideline and playing catch. That was the worst 2 minutes ever.
Awful.
Scriptwriters
I think I might have shed a tear.
messed up. I was like, Carson Wentz can make the right plays. We have a good defense. Like, they'll be competitive. They're not going to be favored, but like, they're good enough. They could figure it out.
Literally every thought went through my head. It was terrible.
I was like, Bobby and Julie got some work to do.
That's for sure. Thank goodness for Bobby. He's great.
Shout out Bobby. All right, you want to go to a break?
Let's do it.
All right, when we come back, we all have questions for each other. So thanks for watching and listening to us here on KC Sports Network. 21 Questions. BJ Kissel with Lexi Osborne and Tucker Franklin. We'll be right back after this. Pay some bills.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Welcome back to 21 Questions here on KC Sports Network. BJ Kissel with Lexi Osborne from Kingdom Queens and Tucker Franklin from Trenton, Missouri. So
that is true. That is a fact. Yeah.
Appreciate for hanging out. We've all got questions for each other. So I have a question for Lexi. You're talking about Kingdom Queens and your podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Go to the YouTube channel. Follow them on social media if you don't already. But what gave you the reason to begin Kingdom Queens and launch this female-guided Chiefs content space show?
Yeah, well, I've always enjoyed talking about the Chiefs. How can you not, especially right now, right? And I thought, now's the time to capitalize while this team is so good. Like, when you finally get a Patrick Mahomes on your team, like, you got to take advantage of that. So I just thought, there's really no all-women's Chiefs podcast, and other women that want to listen might want to listen to some women talk about Chiefs football. So that was the inspiration behind it, and just kind of took off from there. And then ever since, we won 2 Super Bowls since we started it. So I figure we got to keep it going.
You're the reason. Like, you got to keep that going.
Yeah.
We're superstitious. So.
Yeah. And we've gotten a few cool sponsors. We got Autograph, which is an app founded by Tom Brady. And then also Boulevard, really. So, yeah.
Who doesn't love Boulevard?
Yeah.
It's insane.
True.
Tucker loves himself. It's a Boulevard.
Ice cold boulevards, actually.
Right. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun, for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Like, it's cool. We've talked about this before. Tucker and I have these conversations a lot, that it's cool just to see the Chiefs content space with everybody on different platforms, do different things, but like there's enough room, there's enough fans for everybody. There's people that are going to prefer, whether it's you guys, whether it's Arrowhead Addict, the Arrowhead Pride, whether it's the written side with Arrowhead Report or Charles Goldman A to Z or Chiefs Wire. Like there's so many places that create great content, and even on the podcasting space, there's even more. And what Cole's doing with YouTube, like it's just a cool space to see that there's enough room for everybody. It's not a zero-sum game. You're good at what you do and you provide value to a group of fans. Out of the millions and millions of Chiefs fans that do this, you don't need all 30 million fans to support what you're doing. You just got to find an audience that prefers you, and that's what's awesome about it. Yeah. And for the most part, everybody's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's been a fun thing to do so far. I love it. So
yeah. I don't know if you know this. In the middle of the Creed concert, remember they're changing bands. I went and checked on like the KC Laboratory to see like how it was doing, And shout out Mike if Mike is watching this in the chat. Me and Micah like to chirp back and forth at each other. So he was like, Tucker, how come you're ignoring me today? And I hopped in there. I was like, I'm not ignoring you. I'm at the Creed concert, dude. And he's just like, no, you're not. You're lying to me. He's like, you're lying to me.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I do enjoy chirping with people in the chat. That has been a good thing during the live shows. I don't know what made me think about that. I don't know if
I enjoy getting in the live shows for post game and commenting.
Yeah,
because like there's 3 people that know that it's me. It's always fun.
Yeah, they don't know the secret code name.
The old school Arrowhead Pride people, because that was my screen name.
Right.
Back in the day.
Deep cuts only.
I think it's pretty like talk about the Chiefs content space and talk about it globally like that, but there's a lot of us that have been doing this for a long time that have known each other for a very long time. Like sometimes I think people on social don't know that.
Yeah.
Like I've known these people for 15 to 20 years. We've all known of each other and started doing this when we were all not getting paid, not making a career, trying to make a business out of this at all. Like we're all just doing it for free, for fun. Talking about a bad Chiefs team, talking about that Scott Pioli was making. And now we're buds with Scott Pioli. We go to these events and we see him. That's always interesting and fun. And it's a full view of everything. All right, Tuck, what's your question?
All right. I got a good, it's Chiefs related, but outside of the Bills and the Texans, okay, those are the 2 big games left on the Chiefs schedule. What other game, what other team, what other matchup are you looking at that you're most excited for? So outside of the Bills and Texans, you have the Broncos, obviously, this weekend and at the end of the season. You have the Panthers. You have the Raiders, the Chargers, the Browns, the Steelers.
It's got to be the Panthers. All that.
That's what I'm saying. The Panthers are my second team. I got crucified on Twitter for saying I like the Panthers.
Right.
Oh, I said, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of looking forward to playing the Broncos, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I actually think it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm curious to see how Bo Nix does against us. I think we get him this time, but I think he'll be good for a while to come. So, and it's always a good coaching matchup with Sean Payton and Andy Reid. So, I think
Yeah.
Broncos.
I would say Steelers because it's on Christmas, and I just hate that they put a game on Christmas.
We got to redeem ourselves. We got to redeem ourselves.
So dumb. So disrespectful.
I wouldn't mind if it was Christmas on a Sunday, right? If it's Christmas on a Sunday, I get it.
But a Wednesday
is like, yes, you're doing
saying making money. People are working, and like I don't think about the game. I think about all the people that have to work that game. They're beat writers or the employees for the team. It's like you're doing this to make a few extra bucks. You're taking people away from their families. Right? Like, come on. That's super annoying. The Browns would be one if Deshaun Watson was still playing. So I just want to
it's more
kick the living crap out of him. But I would agree with you. The Panthers, for some reason, it would just be it'd feel really good just to beat the Panthers.
Mm-hmm. That's the one they're going to lose. They're going to lose.
I know.
They're going to lose that game.
I actually think the Broncos game this week, if you're going to have me point at the game that I think that they could drop, it'd be this one against the Broncos. That defense is actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. As much as Chiefs fans want to dunk on the Broncos and all that, like Bo Nix doesn't make mistakes. Their defense is good enough to hold them into it. But DeAndre Hopkins, though.
They don't know what's with DeAndre.
All right, Lexi, what do you got?
All right, so My question is, I guess, related to Thursday night football, but we have two foes playing tonight, the Bengals and the Ravens. Who would you guys rather see win that game?
Probably at this point, the Ravens, just because they've lost so many other games they've separated themselves. If they had two losses, it'd be a little bit different because they'd still be within striking distance of getting the 1 seed. But the fact the Chiefs beat them, they have the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
I'd just rather they win, and I just don't know if I'm ever going to be able to root for the Bengals. The Bengals, for me, and this is weird growing up diehard Chiefs fan, like you always hated the Broncos and the Raiders. Maybe it's just Patrick Mahomes absolutely dominates them that it doesn't feel like a rivalry. It's just the Bengals players will not shut up.
Ever.
And so it just makes it more fun. Their fans won't shut up for something that are not on the field. They're not on the field. So what are we talking about? Well, it's stolen equity.
It's an interesting. I can talk myself into both sides, truthfully, because like having the Ravens lose would be nice. Like that would be great.
I know.
But they already have a 4-game lead on them, technically with the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But also seeing Cincinnati dead and buried would also be really nice because, you know, if you do see them again in the playoffs, they're the team that matches up the best with the Chiefs. So like, if you take them out of the playoffs completely, that is probably ideal. So I'm probably wanting the Ravens to win. Thinking about that just because of the matchup further down the road. I think the Chiefs
have to play the Ravens anyway.
I think the Chiefs match up fine with the Ravens. I think that they can beat the Ravens by more than they did the first time around.
Yep.
I mean, what is it? Isaiah Likely said if this is the best they're going to play, then they need to watch out.
I like the assumption that even if his foot was in bounds, that they would have converted the 2-point conversion, and they still wouldn't have lost the discussion.
Yeah. I think it's the Ravens.
I think you guys are right.
It's an interesting concept. Like, as we get closer to like clinching the 1 seed, like the conversations we've had, like those conversations of like scoreboard watching and like which teams you want to win are always very fun to have, I think.
And to Lexi's point earlier, I like the idea of the Chiefs losing at some point earlier, not because I think they need to lose to like regroup and to not get too cocked. This team is not like that. I just want to lose so it gets rid of this narrative and this discussion of, oh, they're going to go perfect, going to go undefeated. Who's going to play a win? Who's going to play a win? Like, we don't care. And the only way to stop that conversation is to fucking lose.
Yeah.
And show, like, we promise you we do not care. Because I guarantee you, like, coach isn't going to call plays differently late in the game or have Mahomes play after they win to sit them. And so, interesting discussion. All right, let's each do one more question, and then we'll wrap this up. And this question works. I like this question. Between now and the end of the regular season, the Chiefs do go undefeated, whatever they find success with. I would say even into the playoffs, with success in the playoffs, all of that. Who is a player that needs to play? Who's an unsung player that we will be talking about, in your opinion, between now and then, as like, that's the guy, not the Chris Jones, not the DeAndre Hopkins, but like, who's a guy that you think needs to be somebody that we mention in order to have that conversation deep into the playoffs of like, so-and-so stepped up and that's why we're here?
Mine's going to be Leo Chenal, actually. I think he does that already a lot. He's not really a household name, but he's very valuable to our team. Always making great plays for us, just crazy athleticism out of him all the time. I think he'll definitely be an unsung hero for us.
Saw the athleticism, he scaled the bus.
Right, exactly.
Screw the covering the wheel and disrupting the pass against the Niners. That dude jumped on the side of a bus and pulled himself up.
I think it's
13 beers deep.
Yeah.
It's impressive. That's a Wisconsin strength right there, too. Shout out Owen. One, I think it's Joshua Williams for me. There's a lot of conversation about Joshua Williams right now and the way that the Chiefs kind of needed another quarter at the trade deadline. They didn't make a move. I do think that I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be in terms of like the corner health and everything like that and depth and where they are at. That last drive where things did happen, the Chiefs were playing back. Like they weren't blitzing. They weren't doing what they normally do. Those things happen. I think it's going to be Joshua Williams. Joshua Williams steps up and plays well. Like that's who we're going to be talking about a whole lot.
Yeah, mine's probably a bad example. I could probably pick any of the rotational defensive linemen, but I think all of them are going to need to make a couple of key plays. And so George Karlaftis is the guy. We've seen it before. It's probably a cop-out because he's proven to be that dude at this point, but when you mix in FAU, you're getting a minute back. You have Chris Jones. You've got guys that can get after the passer. Turk Wharton, another
that's a good
one that somebody's going to be there to make a play, and I love having so many guys that you can rotate through. I'm going to go with George Karloff just because he started creating that knack of being the dude in the big moment to make a big play.
All defensive players that we went with. No, the offense has been the one that has been the lacking part. But
this is my favorite player. I've said it for 3 years, so you can back me up. Justin Watson. He's going to finish the game with 3 catches. The last game, he had 3 catches for 43 yards. It was a 2nd and 11, a 3rd and 5, and a 3rd and 10. Like, he is going to have 2 catches for 14 yards in the playoffs, but they are going to be memorable catches that you remember. And yeah, same thing like McCole Hardman. Shout out him in the last game. No one's going to remember with 3 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter when the Chiefs are trailing by 7. It was McCole Hardman making the catch across the middle and the contact balance to stay on his feet and dive for a first down that set up the touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins. Never would have happened if McCole hadn't caught that pass. But after the game, we're talking about the key defensive plays. We're talking about DeAndre Hopkins. That was one of the most, those are the winning type plays. That is the difference with the Chiefs than it is with everybody else, is their role players will make those plays. Their numbers called. Get on my preachy horse there.
There you go.
Sorry, I got 2 more questions. Tucker.
Okay. What social media site's the best?
For me, I'm going to say Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. That's my favorite. Love getting the quick sports news there. And
there is something about Twitter and like how it is not good. Yeah, right. But the one good redeeming part of it is sports Twitter, and like how it's relatively been, it's like its own little thing, right? It's like its own little corner. Like, obviously there's a bunch of other stuff happening over there, but sports Twitter is just like the same in their corner over there. I find that really interesting about that app.
I hate it all.
Yeah, it's not great.
I'll say it, but like, I hate all of them. Social media. I will say Instagram, and it has nothing to do with professionally. It's personally that before we go to sleep, I read books to my kids, and then now my son started doing it because my daughter and I always do it. We watch a few like Instagram videos, and you get in the algorithm and you start finding all the same videos. But it's like the animal dubbed over, like human voice stuff. Like the videos, the ones that I send you, Tucker. You get a text from me at 9:30 or not 9:30, 8:30 at night. That's an Instagram video. 100% kids loved it, and we're sending this one on. Like Taylor Swift one I sent you the other day, which was hilarious. With the Minions video, I can't explain it, but I'll put it in the description of this show. We'll put that link in there, Tucker, so people know. But that's what I use social media, like the fun, creative type videos, getting away from the sports takes and all that stuff. Just give me a creative video on social media.
TikTok's pretty fun for that too.
That is true.
My wife's all over TikTok. I have an account, but I don't
post on it, but I like watching. I like scrolling.
I've been trying Blue Sky recently. Man, I've been trying to just throw some stuff out there on Blue Sky. I haven't.
KCSN has a Blue Sky account with Threads.
Yeah, I mean, the Threads kind of popping off for KCSN. I don't know if you've seen, like, I think 4,000 likes on a post the other day.
Is YouTube considered a social media platform?
I think technically Snapchat is also considered a social media platform, but I think technically it is considered social media.
Yeah, I'd still say Instagram because that's what I connect with my kids, like, every day.
I spend a lot of time on TikTok.
That's TikTok for me.
All right, Lexi, last question.
Okay, final one. It's controversial. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Tucker's got a take.
I think it is, and just by the argument that I have found is just like a sub is a sandwich, right? People are like, well, the bread connects, so it's a bread. The bread also connects on a sub.
It's like a meatball sub.
It's meat in between a slice of bread. That is a sandwich.
Yeah, meatball sub sandwich.
It's still a sandwich.
I think for me, it's just I don't think of, when I want a sandwich, I don't think of a hot dog.
For sure.
That's my issue with it.
Well, I think of I want a fruit. I don't think of a tomato, though, either. So, I mean, it's one of those.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Like that.
It seems like you had this conversation before.
Yeah. No, I have. As a guy who is a hot dog connoisseur,
is cereal soup.
Yeah, it is.
It's a cold soup. Technically, I guess.
Or
like a gazpacho.
All hard.
In this episode of 21 Questions, we appreciate you all for hanging out with us, and we appreciate Lexi Osborne from Kingdom Queens for joining us. Make sure to check out Kingdom Queens. And when do you record, and where does it go?
I'm actually going to do a little show tonight. Typically Tuesdays, but we know what happened this Tuesday. So, but it'll be live on Twitter and then YouTube, and then we go on Apple and Spotify the next day.
There you go.
At the Kingdom Queens. Yeah.
make sure to check it out. And we appreciate Tucker for joining us, rocking the Creed shirt, bringing hard-hitting takes.
Oh, yeah.
As per usual. And you can check out, when's that football show going out?
It's out.
All right. Go and listen to that football show, weekly show with Tucker Franklin and Matt Verderam, where the takes are flying when Matty V's on there. But we appreciate your support, what we got going on here at KC Sports Network. Hit like and subscribe, follow, all that good stuff, whatever you feel like doing. Let us know. We appreciate your support. See you next time.